Okay, I think that event went how everybody expected it to. Anthony Joshua makes quick work of Jake Paul. I mean, you could say not quick work in 6 rounds, but Jake Paul got nothing going. He didn't do anything in this fight, and that's just what it was. Jake Paul, and I want to go ahead and bring this up. It was a bigger ring. It was a 22 by 22 foot ring, so movement advantage in favor of Jake Paul. That is a big factor in this aspect, right? He has a lot more room to move, and you could tell that it was a bigger ring. Jake had a lot of room to move. He was tripping over himself, and he was also just not displaying a strong skill level of striking, in my opinion. I mean, it was a very, very embarrassing performance, but I'll say that it was what I expected. Going into this fight, I had Anthony Joshua round 4. I did not expect a round 1 KO. I just felt like if Joshua came out in round 1 and starched the guy, yeah, it would have been like what it was. But I think he really wanted to, get a feel for how good he is. Maybe, just download some information. Don't get clipped with a right hand. It's boxing at the end of the day. I mean, an overhand right can put anybody to sleep. Now, in this sense that Jake Paul, when he was backing up the first 2-3 rounds and just kept falling and tripping over himself, he gassed himself out just moving backwards. It takes so much more cardio to move backwards and move around a ring than it does to walk somebody down straight forward. And that's easier said than done against a guy like Anthony Joshua. I'm not saying that I expected him to beat Joshua. I'm just from the aspect of the skill level of boxing, that is just not something that he was going to be able to replicate against a guy like Anthony Joshua. I struggle to find reasons why you take this fight outside of money purposes. I mean, it's just no other reason to take a fight like this at the end of the day. I mean, you prove that you can stick in there with a former heavyweight champion and, one of the greatest heavyweight champions of this era. I mean, Joshua, he is a high level. He's a massive guy, is yoked to the gills. I mean, he's one of the best heavyweights I've seen. And I don't know what you make of this fight. Like, I don't know should I be impressed that he lasted 6 rounds with Anthony Joshua? Maybe I should be impressed by this performance, but I think he's a pro boxer now. You have to judge him as a pro boxer because he stepped in there with a guy like Anthony Joshua. And it's not fair to grade him as a heavyweight boxer because he's not a heavyweight. He's not sticking in there with any heavyweights at the high level. I mean, this fight just proved that. The thing is, right, how do you grade Jake Paul as a boxer? And this is something that I want to hear from y'all in the comments is like, what do you do next if you're Jake Paul? And what do you do for a career? I said this with the Mike Tyson fight, right? The Mike Tyson fight, you can't do a fight like that again. And I don't think you can do a fight like Anthony Joshua again. In the sense that Mike Tyson, he's above the age of 50. He is old as rocks, and he's a corpse in the ring at this point. And I love Mike Tyson, one of the greatest of all time. He's a legend in the game. He's a figure, and he's amazing. Anthony Joshua, one of the greatest in the game, former champion, legit boxer. He's been doing this forever. This is not somebody you play with. You can't take a fight like this again. You can't take a Mike Tyson fight again. Because we've already seen it, we already know how it's gonna go now. If Jake Paul's next fight is against Tyson Fury or a Francis Ngannou, whatever, I think we can expect a similar result. You know what I mean? I will say in a situation like Francis Ngannou, it was a much different fight with Anthony Joshua, comparing Joshua's fight to Francis Ngannou. In the sense that Ngannou was a stationary target. Jake Paul is moving around the cage. He's tripping everywhere. He's falling. He's unorthodox. I mean, you don't know if he's playing cat and mouse and is about to load up a right overhand. I couldn't judge what he was trying to do, quite honestly. I don't think Joshua could either. I think he was quite amazed that, what is going on? But in that sense, we have the fight played out how it did, right? Round 6 KO. 4 knockdowns, and what we had was this. We had a broken jaw, and it was a clean punch on the jaw. it was what it was. Clean break, man. It was a clean right hand. The body shots from Joshua just completely zapped Jake's energy. He had nothing left. And it was really just Jake Paul moving backwards that really put him in a bad position in this fight. Him moving around the ring as much as he did with no game plan of throwing jabs or throwing offense. And I mean, it's easier said than done. But you have to grade Jake Paul for the fight that he took. You have to grade him for the performance that he just put up. It's not fair to be like, hey, man, yeah, he came up on the short end of the stick, but he stuck in there 6 rounds. He did great, man. He stuck in there. He didn't do great, And I think for his standard, maybe for himself, he's going to watch his back and be like, man, I could have capitalized in some situations. As you do with any fight that you go back and watch, you see moments where you could have had success. And for Anthony Joshua, he's going to do the same thing. He's going to be like, yeah, I mean, I probably could have got him out in 2 or 3 had I known that he was really gassed and had nothing left. He zapped his energy so quick. It was only 6 rounds that he made it. And I'll say by the end of 4, I think he was done. His best chance was in round 1, quite honestly. As, you would think Anthony Joshua, man, he's got all the power, all the muscle. That's his best chance. Put him out. No. Jake Paul's best chance of beating Anthony Joshua was just to land some fluke KO in round 1, quite honestly. But this fight played out how it did. You have to grade him as a professional boxer because that's what he is now. And I was really not impressed by anything in this fight by him. Joshua just did what he had to do. I don't think you can knock Anthony Joshua for taking a fight like this. He probably made a lot of money. And I'm assuming so because he had to get out of his deal to even take this fight. And what's next for Jake Paul? What's next for Anthony Joshua? I am going to say Anthony Joshua, either Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury, quite honestly. And Jake Paul, what do you do? If you're Jake Paul, do you take another money grab fight or do you work your way up and try to be a champion now? It's 2 ways that this could go. And in every fight that Jake Paul takes, it is that question of what is he trying to do with his career? What is going on in the state of combat sports and what's going on in the state of boxing? Is Jake Paul at this point, is he bigger than the belts? Is he bigger than, all these promotions? Is he trying to build a company and an organization that challenges the elite boxing companies? Is he going to sign fighters and build them up and be his own promoter one day? It's an interesting spot that he's in, I think, from my perspective, because I see him as a future promoter. I think all the fights that he's taken right now, he is proving that with the power of social media and with the power of content creation, that you can turn just, being a pro boxer, and you can turn that into something way bigger than what it is, You can turn, I'm not going to say gimmick fights, but you can turn Jake Paul into versus Anthony Joshua. You can turn that into one of the biggest boxing events of the year. I think that just, it raises a lot of questions for the state of boxing and combat sports. Like, what is Jake Paul's goal in boxing? I think that's something that we'll continue to see. And his next fight is going to determine that as well. He's going to have to heal from the broken jaw. I mean, Joshua just decimated the kid, man. And I feel for Jake in the sense that, like, I hope he recovers well and I hope he, get back in the ring. But, man, it's another one of these performances. It's another one of these fights that, like, just a one-sided, just gimmick fight, in my opinion. This wasn't a real fight. Like, Jake didn't put up a fight. I mean, he landed a couple overhands, but you have to grade him for a professional heavyweight bout that he signed and took. He didn't perform well. He didn't do well in this fight by any means. I don't know if you can say that he did well just because he stuck in there. I mean, that to me just is not fair. Now, granted, is he good for the sport? I think so, personally. I don't think he's making a mock of boxing because he clearly puts the work in and he has gotten way better. I mean, you go back and watch his fights from when he's doing these YouTube cards back in the day. I mean, he's definitely gotten better and he continues to improve. And I think he can beat pro boxers. I think he can work his way up a ranking and, maybe put himself in a position, just not a heavyweight. I mean, that just can't happen. I don't see him beating a Alexander Usyk. I don't see him beating a Tyson Fury, a Wilder. Just what any of these, Dubois. I don't see him beating any of these guys. Joseph Parker. I mean, I don't see it. From my perspective, I don't see it. Maybe he can get there, but I mean, I think cruiserweight or light heavy. I don't know what that number looks like for him, but I just don't see him as a future heavyweight. This fight proved that. Jake Paul, I think we'll continue to see. How do you evaluate his career? It's kind of hard to say right now because, I mean, when you go from Mike Tyson, Julio Cesar Chavez, Tommy Fury, Anthony Joshua, the names are all over the place. And we got Gervonta Davis, who he was supposed to fight. You got different weight classes. In that sense, I feel like it's a mockery of boxing because, like, this guy's just taking fights left and right. But granted to the guy, I mean, he's active. He continues to show up. And, I mean, he showed up to fight Anthony Joshua tonight. So, I guess in that sense, you can be like, hey, he showed up, right? He didn't pull out last second. He was a man of his word, and he got in there. Does his stock drop? Are people not going to watch his next fight? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's going to have a big fight or a big announcement for his next fight. And it'll be, maybe similar to the Julio Cesar Chavez where it's like, it doesn't bring as many eyes, probably didn't do as well. But a guy like Anthony Joshua was going to bring in eyes, especially in Miami on a Friday night. I mean, that card sells in itself. Outside of that, we had Tyron Woodley. He got slept pretty bad by Anderson Silva. The spider, man. The spider, he feints a kick into a punch. And, I mean, that's just an old trick in the book, man. Just a feint up the middle. Right hook on Woodley. Put his lights out. Dude wipes, gets another sponsor. And, I was just looking at Anthony Joshua's record, right? We have Andy Ruiz, Joseph Parker. We have heavyweights. Andy Ruiz, Alexander Usyk, Franklin, Helenas, Wallen, Ngannou, Dubois. Then we got Jake Paul here. So, I mean, it was good to see AJ back in the ring, though. It was a long layoff for him. Hopefully we can see a fight or two out of him in 2026. I think we will. I think the Fury fight definitely it's going to happen. I was expecting to see Deontay Wilder maybe, but I'm assuming it's going to be Tyson Fury now. Fury's going to come out of retirement for the 80th time, and we are going to get that fight in early 2026. I don't think... I assume that Anthony Joshua has taken a lot more damage in sparring matches than he did by Jake Paul. It's a really tough fight to grade on the perspective of, like, what's next. In my opinion, it's very tough to say what is next for a guy like Jake Paul whenever, like, he just fought a former heavyweight champion. It's like, I legit don't know how to grade this guy. Do I grade Jake Paul in the sense that he's a heavyweight pro boxer? I can't. It's impossible. I'm not going to do it. Do I grade Jake Paul on an up-and-coming prospect who just somehow walked into a fight with a former champion who's still good? I don't know if I can even do that. It's legit like putting... And you got to understand, he lost to Tommy Fury. If you bet against Anthony Joshua after finding out, like... And maybe you didn't know about the Tommy Fury fight, but he lost to Tommy Fury. I don't understand how this fight happens, bro. It's quite amazing. Like, I think the Gervonta Davis fight, that sells better because it's a smaller weight class, guys. So you have the size discrepancy, and then it's like, okay, this is interesting, right? We have a lower level heavy boxer versus a lower weight class legend. Okay, like, let's just see what happens. But Anthony Joshua, bro, I mean, that's just not somebody you play with. And honestly, I think the thing that I will give Jake Paul the most props on is the fact that he did not get sparked out clean by Anthony Joshua. The shot that he landed right here on the shot that Joshua landed on Jake right here, I think a lot of people, and I want to say maybe 99% of people, 99.9% maybe, would have went to sleep. So I think the biggest takeaway from this fight might be that Jake Paul didn't get slept by a legit heavyweight, and one of the greatest of all time. So I think I don't think that's a bad way to look at it, I guess. Just a very tough fight to grade. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Tyron Woodley, Anderson Silva. You know, as an MMA guy, I just want to see Woodley hang it up. Anderson Silva, he could do whatever he wants, but Woodley, man, we got to stop, man. Like, a 50-year-old Anderson can't be sleeping you, dog, but Anderson's a legend. Woodley's a legend, but I just remember Tyron Woodley being in the conversations as one of the greatest 170-pound, welterweight champion, one of the greatest, on that trajectory to being one of the greatest of all time. Then the Usman fight happens, and then it's just kind of a downhill from there. And even in boxing hasn't treated Woodley too great. Now getting knocked out by a 50-year-old Spider Silva. But shout out to the GOAT, man. Anderson Silva, still hanging in there. Still putting on performances. Heard he wants to be a cop in Beverly Hills now. That's random. But, you know, whatever makes that guy happy. He's an impossible guy to dislike, I feel like. That is one person that I feel like if I ever met in person, I would genuinely be starstruck by, because his power and what he's done for the game of mixed martial arts, like, is second to none. Like, he's one of the greatest of all time. If not, he's definitely in my top 5. And the performances that he put on in the UFC and even in boxing now, it's insane that he's even still fighting. Just hopefully don't have to see him against Jake Paul again. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, what do y'all think is next for Jake Paul? I don't have an opponent on the top of my head, because I could say an up-and-coming prospect, and he might throw Ryan Garcia out there and be like, yeah, Ryan Garcia, I want you next. Devin Haney, I want you next. Terrence Crawford, I want you to come out of retirement. I couldn't beat a heavier Joshua, but Terrence Crawford, you need to come out of retirement and fight Jake Paul. Maybe Bud Crawford could lace him up one more time for a Jake Paul payout. But it's a tough sport and a tough fight to gauge, in the sense I just wasn't impressed by any of the skill set. He tripped over himself. He stumbled across the ring. You know, and gassed himself out just by running backwards. It takes so much out of you to be on the back foot the whole time, because you're just running backwards for minutes on minutes on minutes, and that wears on you, especially when you got a heavy hitting AJ attacking your body. It's a tough fight, and that's the game. It is what it is. That's the way I thought the fight would go. I thought it would happen a bit earlier, but round 6, Anthony Joshua gets it done. Let me know in the comments. Next opponent for Jake Paul. I think we got a next opponent for Anthony Joshua. It's going to be Tyson Fury. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on what is next. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit the like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all of my socials down below. And I'll see y'all in the next one, man. We got a big UFC card in January. We're going to try to pump out some more videos before the end of the new year. Make some UFC content, make some MMA-related content, and if there's anything that pops up in the boxing world as well, I'll try to tap into that as well. If y'all did enjoy, I'm out. Peace.